Hello, hey, hi, social media family. Being of any subscribers, and likewise, I say to any visitors to that being my own social media channel and or chat room or comment section. How are you all doing? Well, hopefully everyone is doing at least okay, if not better yet, to be said to be feeling all right, or if not best of all, to be said to be feeling blessed and stressed. More blessed and stressed, or too blessed to possibly become or be stressed. You and yours, family, friends, and hopefully me and mine likewise as well are all the same. Well, hopefully you're feeling much better than what that of my person have felt like last, and even so, as of the present moment in time, where I was feeling much worse, earlier than how I could possibly feel like right now. The wash or my person, I myself, am still feeling quite up under the weather. And do excuse, pardon, or forgive me for butchering the English language. But then, as I think of it with that in my mind's attention, try to backtrack here with reason or purpose is being, or so I can go on with the following to continue for when. Then my person had last left off, so I can finish up as complete a form of purified line thought and saying since word before I would lose my train of thought. Yeah. Anyway, though, my train of thought, so to speak, in this. I suspect that somebody of a rather foul and funky, obnoxious character, as I'm suspecting, as my suspicions arises, you know, being of the likes, proverbial neighbors from damn hell, public nuisances of problem neighbors, as well as possibly anybody else, maintenance personnel, real estate management personnel representatives, the administrators, for that matter, for these real estate premises and properties, could possibly have something to do with my most recent failing general physical health, or anybody else for that matter, et cetera, of whom I may not have mentioned but are to be included, like, say, captors elsewhere at given business address locations, or eateries, or fast food places, or restaurants who could have possibly attempted to slip something foul in another person's beverage, or for that being of a mass transit, of a public transportation system for that matter, as well, I was saying. Um, Whatever the case or situation lately, I've been feeling like really like up under the weather, and I'm supposed to be checking on, you know, a unit's atmosphere for place of residence of a supposed so-called available apartment vacancy. I'm supposed to be getting back with the, you know, proprietor, owner, uh, real estate premises property, uh, management, landlord, you know, or representative, business company, corporation of that nature. I'm supposed to check back today. I haven't felt like doing anything much today. As a result of developments in due regard reference to that being of which I have said and or stated for the record, and as I suspect, sabotage, coming from a second or third party, or for whoever is responsible for me being that my person feeling this way at the moment. And like I said, it could possibly be somebody, anybody, and everybody. But eventually I had to force myself out of here. I'm a present in the place rent apartment to take care of the necessary business at hand, as I do have a deadline. So press for time to try to secure another spot for myself to resume paying annual monthly rent before the deadline when I'm supposed to vacate these premises and properties. I'm using Atmosphere Place rather than an apartment before I am booted or kicked out of here without my personal effects, belongings, or possessions. And before I were to possibly become or be the rank and file of the statistical ratio percentile or percentages of derelict transients, as in the homeless, to simply say, being a witch is to be translated as to be likewise, to be translated or defined as meaning. But I don't want to do it again. It has to be true. Yeah. It was that my person have never been homeless by choice. God forbid. Hold that thought. Another home remedy. Anyway, though, for a number of consecutive days and nights, I've been just feeling so. Well, mainly or mostly when I wake up in the morning, I try to go to bed at night. You know, that calling night. You know, I'm feeling that of it that much more. You know, the physical symptoms. You know, failing health of a nature. In that regard, in reference to some such matters in that same line of thought, in a sense, word, and like wondering what's going on. And because at first I was getting better, then I started getting worse again. So now I'm most certainly, definitely suspecting sabotage. You know, for whatever reason or purpose, a second or third party could possibly have engineered something, a 2 cent power play, as that being against me. You know, yeah. Or something like that. I should be feeling better, you know, not worse. So I have pretty myself played quite a bit of the hermit for today. You know, though I will eventually have to force myself to get out of here because I'm on the deadline. I got to check back with some of such other real estate management personnel, representative, proprietor, or landlords after having, had a sit down with one and, gone over some such paperwork documents and so forth and submitted personal information in due regard in reference to me, myself, being that my person, Yeah. Then I'm wondering if, you know, somehow the present management where I'm at, landlord, real estate, business, office representative, could have possibly finally recognized, realized one's mistake and could possibly oneself have engineered something against me to have me be uh, feeling health of a physical nature at the moment. Yeah, if one could have possibly recognized and realized that maybe I myself, my person, am not the problem after all. And trying to tell them that for the longest, that maybe there's another person coming off like a character to cause chaos, havoc, or mayhem in the building to be considered of the likes of one of the proverbial neighbors from hell, the public nuisances of problem neighbors, and now whereas one could be regretting oneself having submitted to my person, that being a paper document of a slip of paper to be compared onto, or as it would be similar to an eviction notice, being a printed letterhead correspondence being which is stating that my apartment rental agreement lease will not be renewed upon an annual yearly basis. Maybe just some such other person come out like a character. Like saying, you know, that, or you know, maybe it's just, no, not to be contradict myself. Maybe some such other person come out like a character is like responsible for what I'm feeling at the moment, a medical health issue or physical symptoms of a nature. Hopefully that would be the case, and we think that real estate management person they are representing could be partly responsible. You never know. Or maybe to go about make me feel that way for another reason or purpose, much rather than to, you know, acknowledge one's wrong, but to continue to believe a lie that proverbial name from damn hell has told one, and be attempting to speed up the day for me to get out of here oneself, you know. Because I'm not the problem, you know. Yeah. I'm supposed to be getting back with this other building address location before it closes in about another hour. So I'm trying to go about as best as I can to produce this here social media broadcast or video being the present one so I can try to get out that way before closing time. Not that far from where I'm presently at as a tenant, being in another building as location. Whereas now I'm supposed to be moving back to a predominantly ethnic minority, the Cincy area neighborhood community on short notice. You know, I was trying to see if I can get situated in the building, you know, for a place of residence available apartment vacancy for this same, you know, the Cincy area neighborhood community of a multiracial one for some such other building address location. But things were not working out like I wanted it to. Who to come or be more in my favor on some such short notice. So I had to reconsider. I had to consider again, reconsider that possibly moving back into a predominantly ethnic minority vicinity area neighborhood community on short notice, being of which I had gone about taking care of the necessary business at hand, just awaiting the remaining what do you call the remaining last stages of development to see whether or not I have secured this other place of residence available apartment vacancy or units atmosphere so I could kiss this place goodbye, this damn hellhole that a neighbor from damn hell has made it out to become a beef for me for the longest with all of his ridiculous, ignorant, insane, and impolite, or in other words, stupid, sick, sadistic, and rude 2 cent power plays against me as he continues to assume that he has a legit personal vendetta or grudge match against my person, and I suspect he himself has sabotaged my general physical health as being in my time. Though I was informed, although regardless of how I was informed by the very same real estate management personnel representative that had given me that a paperwork documents or something similar to the eviction notice that he himself has supposed to be moved out of the building. But yet I'm still hearing the same ridiculous, ignorant, insane, and impolite extreme excessive noise of different sorts of types. You know, now either one of his accomplices in crime has carried on from where he himself had last left off, or the supposed so-called new tenant in his old apartment is carrying on misbehaving like what he himself would do. Unless he being a male person of the character of himself has crept back into the building to further annoy me, unless This one real estate management personnel representative had just told me that to try to appease my discontent or dissatisfaction with one having handed to me paperwork documents or walking papers. I mean, something similar to an eviction notice, where there will be an eviction notice, to appease my dissatisfaction by telling me for my person that this one particular male character neighbor from down here had moved out just to keep me from going to court upon the real estate business company or corporation that oneself is affiliated or associated with and representing, being this one real estate management personnel representative otherwise. You know what I'm saying, y'all? Yeah, I think I'm just going to speed dial the closing. I was wanting to go at this here particular social media broadcast or video for about half an hour, but I think I'm going to close shop in the next couple of minutes. But anyway, though, for some reason or another, as I was saying, I've been feeling quite up on the weather of a physical nature, and whereas I would have to consider more home remedies and over-the-counter drugs, and last but not least, prescription medicines to try to get better. But anyway, on this last note of interest, I would like to say that if you haven't gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in your veins, but recognize and realize, I said, excuse pardon, getting for butchering English language, American dialect, possibly once again for the umpteenth consecutive time. Then, nevertheless, ways he went to that cross of Calvary to become the perfect sacrifice, the only sacrifice for you as well as for me. On still my trademark, whatchamacallit, I have to copyright this sometime. Whereas if anyone was being a whatsoever races and whatever walks like faction of society, lifestyle preferences, being of the old, young, like above two sexes, the male, the females, represent not only humans, but the global community within this post 911 era of a new millennium, apocalyptic day and age where the doomsday clock is now at a couple few minutes to midnight compared on our falling period prior to them was a quarter midnight for these rather biblically prophetic time. Were to profess some of such faith in him from there, we will become and be blessed in one regard and more ways than one. First and foremost, with this salvation being which is the only means by which any of us can or could possibly become citizens of the kingdom of heaven. Second of all, with his deliverance. But first, you have got to, profess faith in him while you're still here in a supposed so-called land of living. But the others, this is much more real than this one. You have to profess faith in while you're still here before you would make that transition for the great beyond the hereafter, the afterlife. Otherwise, if you don't have that fire insurance for the lake of fire, damn hell, then your final destination would be just that, for a place of torment for all the unsaved, lost, damn human souls of unbelievers and non-believers, or non-believers, unbelievers and non-believers. What I mean to say, to be tortured and terrorized by the devil and his demons forever, compared to how we as believers in God, as in Christian, aka Protestants, will be across that great divide that separates heaven from hell in the company of like-minded believers and in present God and his angels otherwise. Not including the false brethren, false prophets, and antichrists who make up the majority of the churchgoers, the closet devil worshippers, being of whatever religious denomination, that's including the prosperity preachers, the televangelists among you, as most churchgoers are nothing but closet devil worshippers, as well as most televangelists, being as they are prosperity. You all take care.